Hi everyone, and welcome. I'm Karen Sharp Price with SharpHR Career Coaching, and I'm excited to be doing my first ever Facebook Live State of Employment Insights Live on Facebook. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're watching this later on, please, throw your name in the chat. I'd love to know that you were here. If you're a job seeker right now, are you feeling overwhelmed? Does it feel like you're running a marathon and you're just really exhausted? My goal today is to give you a realistic picture of what's happening in the job market from both the job seeker and the employer perspective, and share some practical steps that you can take to move forward with clarity and confidence. Before I begin, if you're a job seeker and you're watching me today, please just drop a number 1 in the chat. And if you're here to support someone who is a job seeker, or maybe you're just here to support me, you can put a number 2 in the chat. So let's begin with the job seeker and what they're going through at this moment. There's many frustrations that they're facing. Number 1, and this isn't in any particular order, but number 1, ghost jobs and unclear postings. So if you've seen postings from companies that are up for weeks and months on end, and you don't know whether they're really live or not, this can become very frustrating. And if you take the time to actually apply and never hear anything, that's also very frustrating. Sometimes companies do that just to collect resumes so that if by chance down the road they are looking for somebody, they will have a whole bunch of resumes to look at. There's also the ghosting after interviews. So you spend the time researching, looking up opportunities, and then all of a sudden, you apply, you prepare for the interview, you get the interview, and then it's complete silence afterwards. That is extremely frustrating afterwards. And then you spend all that time and effort and energy for what? And you might feel like it's wasted effort, but really it's actually some useful information, because you're learning about these companies, and they're, if they're doing that, that's really a red flag. Do you really want to work for a company like that someday? So you're getting some information that you might not have known about. You're also gaining interview experience, because every time you get to go in and sit down and have a conversation, that helps you become stronger in your interviewing skills. And you're building resilience, because as a job seeker, you really need resilience through this whole process. But this is also showing you that maybe just applying is not the way to go. But networking really can often beat the online application process. It's really the number 1 way to get a job these days. I see that Connie's here, so thank you very much for your support. Number 2, the applicant tracking system is really a big hurdle, and so it's an invisible gateway. As a job seeker, you don't know whether a company is using an applicant tracking system, and you might ask, well, what is it? It's a software system that scans your resume as it comes in, and it decides whether you should go in the yes pile or the no pile. And recruiters, when they're putting in the information that they want this applicant tracking system to scan with, they're putting in keywords, skills, experience, numbers of years of experience. And that's what's scanning the resume, is to see, does it have that kind of information, the content that matches what they're looking for. So you might think, well, how do I ever beat that? Well, it is fixable, because you can tailor your resume with keywords, or like what I like to say is really the language around your role or the industry that you're trying to get into. So if you use that to tailor your resume, you're going to have a better shot. But also you need to have a really clean and simple formatting. So no gimmicks, no columns. They have a hard time. They can't jump from one column to another. So you just want to be really careful and almost like dummy down your nice looking resume to a resume for applicant tracking. The number 3 reason that I have here is really confidence and imposter syndrome. So this is a hot topic with my clients. Even experienced professionals feel imposter syndrome from one time to another in their career. And that's that real little voice that you can hear that says, am I really good enough? And the idea to really overcome this is shifting the mindset. So when you're going in for an interview, everybody's nervous. And you're nervous because you want to make sure that you answer the questions correctly, the way that they want you to. And so you're always guessing, are you understanding what they're asking? Are you giving them what they're looking for? But what I like to try to explain to candidates is look at it in a different way. Look at it as you are interviewing them as well. You don't know when you walk in that door whether this is really going to be a good fit for you or not. You don't know if the company culture is something that you're looking for. You don't know if your values and goals are going to be met with this company. So you need to create some really good questions around what you're looking for. And if you're thinking about that and really listening to the answers that they're giving you, it sort of creates this calmer setting where you're really trying to pay more attention and be an active listener and not so worried about how you're going to perform. Of course, you need to answer the questions well and all of that, but it's really a mutual fit that you're looking for. And then number 4, burnout and balance. So job searching is a full-time job. It's like running a marathon, and you have to pace yourself. So you want to focus on quality of what you're applying to, not quantity. So if you can do 3 really strong applications versus just rushing out 20, you're going to be in a better situation. And when I have people call me to tell me that they have applied to 100 jobs and they haven't heard a word and they don't know what's going on, that's a red flag for me, because if you think about it, is there really 100 jobs that you would really want, the companies that you would really want to work for? You need to do your due diligence. So set back a little bit, look at your values and your goals, figure out which companies you really want to apply to, and focus on that. And then, above all, take breaks. So your energy shows in interviews. And if you're exhausted from the process, how are you going to show your strengths during the interview? It actually improves your results by just taking a break. Go for a walk, go out to lunch, watch TV, do something different, and get your mind off of focusing only on your job search. So now we've looked at job seekers, and I want to take a look now from the perspective of an employer. It's not just job seekers who are under pressure. Employers are facing their own set of challenges, and understanding their perspective can really give the job seeker a powerful insight into how to stand out. And there are a number of things that our employers are saying. So number 1 is skill gaps. They can't find enough workers with the right future skills like adaptability, data, technology. They're hiring, but now they're really being selective. So they're being very cautious. AI and automation, it's a boost for them, for employers, but it's also a fear, because on one hand, it makes teams more efficient using AI, but on the other hand, it creates fear because those employees are worried that the jobs are going to be replaced. So employers are trying to balance the tension of that every day to make sure that their employees know that they're valued and that they're there to stay. Hybrid and flexibility. So I really think that this came into play during COVID. Employees expect it now. They really enjoyed that extra perk. They can get a lot of work done being able to be at home, sometimes just in that quiet setting. And the flexibility of hybrid, being able to come in a day or two a week to still connect with their team, is a really good combination for a lot of employees. But employers are struggling with if they don't offer that. And then burnout and retention. With layoffs, with leadership turnover, with shifting workloads, companies are asking themselves, how do we keep people that we already have? And so they're really starting to have to rethink all their benefits, investing in mental health support, reimagining career paths for people so that they stop that revolving door. So if you're watching right now and you're a job seeker, or just working somewhere and you're kind of on the fence and you're not sure whether you're going to start looking around, what's more important to you right now? If you could drop it in the chat, I would really love that. Is remote work or is career growth more important to you? Okay, so now we've seen both sides. We've seen the job seeker and the frustrations that they're feeling with AI, ghosting, stress, and we've seen the employer and all the things that they're worried about. So now let's zoom out just a little bit and take a bigger picture of what's going on using data and trends that are shaping today's job market. U.S. unemployment rate right now is 4.3% as of August of 2025. And that's up from 3.6% just 2 years ago. The job growth, which is, the economy and how many jobs that they're adding, the economy added 22,000 jobs in August, but that was down from 73,000 jobs in July. Now, if we look at tech has had some layoffs, and they've had about 146,000 people that have been impacted just in 2025. When we take a look at the federal government, in the beginning of the year, there was over 300,000 workers affected. And now with the shutdown and all the furloughs, we're adding a ton more to that number. And we don't know whether those furloughs are going to be people that are going to be totally laid off, and if that's going to impact our unemployment rate in the next month or two. When we look at job seeker confidence, and that's really their perception of their chances of finding a new job, it's at the lowest level actually since 2013, and that's at 44.9%. Employers are really trying to focus on upskilling. And that's about 85% of companies and employers are really trying to focus on that upskilling piece for their employees. 70% want new hires to already have those skills when they're interviewing for them. And that right there is a key that we need, and we're going to be talking about in a little bit. So there is some good news with all these other things that are going on. And that means that some of the industries, and it just depends on the industry and how all of this is being impacted, but there are areas that are still hiring. So we've got cybersecurity areas, sustainability, manufacturing, skilled trades, always and will be, education and training, healthcare, just to name a few. But let's also look at the fourth quarter and give it a reality check. Robert Half notes that hiring in 2025, it's cooling, but it's not collapsing, and that's key. When I'm talking to a client and I talk about November, December, and January, I remind them that this is a time where it always slows down. Hiring always slows down in those months. And there is a reason for that, because they're wrapping up their budgets for the year. They're trying to plan for the year end. They want to see how they're going to land with their numbers. And of course, we've got all the holidays between November and December and in early January. So trying to schedule interviews during that time can be really difficult because a lot of people are taking time off, whether for the holidays or just vacation time, trying to run out what they've got left. So it's really, really difficult during those periods of time. And you'll see, no matter what, always a slowdown. But here's the thing. I'm noticing that slowdown started even earlier this year. And there's a reason for that. And it's complicated, it's mixed. It's a mix of economic pressures, tariffs, uncertainty. So all of those combined is where we're sitting right now. Now, flexibility and hybrid is still a high priority for workers. Retention and burnout is still something that employers are really concerned about. But remember, jobs still exist, but competition is much higher. And you gotta, as a job seeker, stand out even more than before. Companies are just being cautious and they're being selective. So the takeaway from that is that even if the market is slower and the demand is there, you have to focus on your transferable skills, your networking, you're keeping yourself visible. You'll be ahead of the curve when companies start to, really go full force in hiring. And, on a given year, that generally happens the middle of January on. New budgets, new start of the year, people are back from vacation and holidays, and they start hitting the ground running. So putting all your eggs in one basket, meaning just going based on what's available on LinkedIn, Indeed, job boards, and just applying when you see something, is really not your best strategy. So let's shift back just for a minute to the job seeker. So knowing all of this, what can you do right now to make yourself stand out in this climate and set yourself up for success? There's still jobs out there, but the competition is really tough. If an employer is getting 100 to 200 applications for a job, what's it going to take to make your resume pop so that they're going to see it? What it means now is this is the time to prepare strategically. Use this slower period to just polish up your resume, update your LinkedIn, and use LinkedIn. Practice your interviewing skills, whether that's online, in person. You really need to make sure that you feel more comfortable in any of those settings. You want to network with people in your field and maybe even add a new skill or certificate. That way, when things start to open up, you're going to be ready to hit the ground running. You can see it's not just the job seekers that are struggling right now. Employers are juggling skill gaps, pressure to offer flexibility, and the challenge of keeping their best people. But here's the thing. Where companies' challenges meet the job seekers' opportunities, that's the sweet spot. So if employers are saying that they need new skills, they want people with new skills, that's your chance as a job seeker to lean into upskilling. If companies are being cautious in hiring, that's where networking and building relationships can give the job seeker an edge. If they're focused on retention and employee well-being, then that's your chance to highlight the value you bring in those areas to that company in your cover letter and in your interview. Now, I see some more people. So hello, Maureen. Hello, Ruth. Thank you so much for stopping by. So I want to talk about the evolution of work trends. Now, this really started during the COVID time. Do you remember hearing fancy names for the employment trends? The Great Resignation, the Great Reshuffle, the Great Stay. And then more recently, job hugging, the Great Shrinking, and now career cushioning. Some call it career cushioning, but what I like to call it is future proofing. It signals resilience and being ready for whatever comes your way. So, not so long ago, we would look at short-term and long-term goals. Short-term goals would be 5 years, long-term goals would be 10. Things are moving way too fast to plan 10 years out any longer. So now when we look at short-term goals, it's really just 2 to 3 years. And when we look at long-term goals, 5 years max. You want to be able to keep your finger on the pulse of what's coming your skills, your opportunities, your industries, and you want to be ready. So let me ask you this, and for those watching and for those that might be watching later on, just drop this in the chat. What's one skill that you think that you need in the next 2 to 3 years? And I'll give you a minute or two to think about that and put that in there. And while you're thinking about that, also think about this. Part of future proofing is just being proactive, networking, picking up new skills, maybe even testing the waters and going for an interview or two. It's about building that safety net while things are still good, not waiting until there's a crisis mode and then you've got to figure out what you need to do. And let me share this. One of the simplest ways to future-proof is to keep your resume and your LinkedIn updated, even when you're not actively looking. That way, if something changes suddenly and you find yourself laid off, or even worse, completely let go, you're not scrambling to update that resume. You've got to know each year what you're doing to make sure that that resume is as strong as possible. One of the tips that I suggest that my clients do is every December, go back through, look at your calendar, look at your performance appraisals, maybe you keep a journal, and go through and add anything quantitative to your resume. Any new dates, any new associations that you've joined, any classes or courses or certificates that you've had, any volunteering that you can add, anything like that. It's so much easier within the year to update that than say you have to look back 3 years and try to update and remember the things that you did. Your LinkedIn profile, many clients will say, oh yeah, I created a LinkedIn profile a few years ago, but I haven't touched it, or I don't even remember what my password is. Those types of things can be done on a regular basis, and LinkedIn, you should be active every single week and maybe even every day. So let's be honest. Have you updated your resume or LinkedIn when you weren't searching for a job? If you can throw that in the chat. If you're one of those that thinks ahead and has done those things and are ready to go in case something happens. The bottom line here is if you're future-proofing, you're building your skills, you're networking, you're staying prepared, you'll be in a much stronger situation to make the decisions that you have to and be able to bounce back quicker when changes occur. So let's take a look at opportunities and positive trends. It's not just about surviving. Let's talk about ways that you actually can thrive. Future-proofing is important, but it only works if you pair it with action. So what are 3 things that you can do right now to help yourself? Number 1, transferable skills. This is a really big one. Look at your core competencies. Where's your strengths? Where do they lie? Now, take a targeted role that you're semi-interested in. Identify what overlaps, and then pick out where's your gaps. Fill those with a course, a certificate, maybe reframing the experiences that you have had and take a second look at how you can express your value to a company. Number 2, networking. I said it before, I'll say it again. Networking is the number 1 way that you can land a job. And the best way, if you're not really used to networking and you really don't care for it that much, there are steps, baby steps that you can take. Informational interviews is really one of the greatest ways to start networking. You reach out to people who are doing the things that you want to do at the level that you want to be doing it at down the road, and you ask them if they could take a few minutes of their time to have a conversation. And what you're going to gain by that is you're going to gain insider information about the industry and about the role. You possibly might be creating a future referral because they might like the conversation that's happening. They might like who you are and what you do, and they might just want to extend their arm out and help you in some way. And you're also building relationships, which is helping that networking piece. Informational interviews are not about getting a job. They're about gaining information and insight that really can help you along the whole path of job searching. And number 3, the third thing that you could do right now is really upskill. So you've heard me say this before, but continuous learning is critical. You can't stop even when you do get a job. LinkedIn is actually rolling out a new LinkedIn Learning Career Hub. This hub is going to connect employees and companies with training for the skills that are in demand now. It's even providing a pathway within an organization so employees can grow. Some people probably have seen it already. It has not been rolled out completely, but it is coming, so keep an eye on it. It's LinkedIn Learning Career Hub. So here's the key. You first need to know what skills are needed now and what's coming down the road. Then you can research where to get that knowledge. It could be LinkedIn Learning, it could be Google courses, it could be certificates in your industry. There's multiple ways for you to be able to get the information and the credentials to help you. And yes, we cannot forget about AI because that is one of the biggest parts. It's here to stay and it's growing. So employers are already looking for people who can adapt and learn in this space. So the more that you can show that you're continuously learning, whether it's tech skills, leadership, communication, the more you're going to stand out. So now let's take some practical takeaways from this whole thing. Number 1, focus on small wins each week. It is a job in itself, and it's a roller coaster. It has its ups and its downs. But we've talked about what the challenges are, the opportunities within those challenges, and here are some practical takeaways to move forward in your job search. But remember, this process is about progress, not perfection. So update your resume using those keywords or language within those roles and industry that excite you. Reconnect or research to find somebody out there who you can connect to and do an informational interview. You're going to have small steps of growth in your network. And attend a networking event, whether it's virtual or in person, it really doesn't matter. But even meeting one person matters the most because you're building your momentum by doing all of these things. Number 2, shifting your mindset. Again, this is one of the hardest things to do because you're just used to the way things are and how you react to things. But shifting that mindset, your career is a journey. It doesn't end just because you get that next job. It's just a pathway to reaching your goals, your personal goals and your professional goals. And even when the market feels tough, you have more control than you think. So you got to stay adaptable, you got to keep learning, and most importantly, you got to stay true to yourself. So job searching is not a sprint. It's not going to take a week or two and you'll have a job. It's a marathon. So consistency, steady effort leads to results. Position yourself for success. So Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Keep believing in yours and keep taking action. Don't rely only on the market. Showcase your skills that adapt and evolve. Apply selectively to roles that align with your values and your priorities. Don't just throw out 50 to 100 applications and hope something sticks. Invest in ongoing learning, certificates, micro credentials, courses to stay relevant. In interviews, make sure you ask good questions about growth, flexibility, and how companies support their employees. It's important to get your answers to the questions that are most important to you, as well as answering the questions that they're asking you in an interview. And be smart about AI. Again, it's not going anywhere. It's only going to increase. but keep your voice authentic. Don't let AI strip away your personality. And sometimes that's hard. Prepare for AI-driven interviews, which is the new thing, and that could be a Facebook Live in itself. Practice to keep that human element strong. Strengthen your online presence. Be seen. Recruiters expect to find you out there, and if they don't, that's a red flag for them. So if you created a LinkedIn profile and you haven't touched it, they're going to know that, and that's going to turn them away. Be intentional. Apply to jobs that you care about, not just to apply. So, bottom line, steady, focused effort combined with adaptability, authenticity, and ongoing learning will keep you moving forward, even in this challenging job market and others to follow. So, we've covered a lot. We've covered the job seeker challenges, employer perspectives, the data and the trends that we're facing, and opportunities. So let me leave you with this final thought. Your dream job may feel like it's far away, but every step that you take, you're building momentum. So keep believing, keep taking action, and you're moving closer. If today's conversation resonated with you in any way, reach out. I'd love to support you through your career coaching. And if you've enjoyed this, leave a comment or share this video when it goes up live again. And always, let's be kind out there. It starts with you and I. So I did it. I completed my very first Facebook Live. And it wasn't too bad. I don't know. Let me know what you think on the other side. But have a great day, everyone. And hope to see you the next time.